Good afternoon, friends. Stephen Bernard with Israeli News Live. Today is June the 5th, 2025. What's coming? The title of this message, and of course, what's coming for Israel is judgment. And a lot of people think, oh gosh, no, Steve, what's coming for Israel is a great awakening. No, what's coming is judgment. And it's very clear that it's coming. I'm going to share with you some very interesting things here. And before I start playing some of the doctors I'm going to play that have been down in Gaza, let me just remind you of what Micah said here in chapter 2, verse 8. But of late, my people has risen up as an enemy. It's exactly right. He refers to them here as, O house of Jacob. And why does he refer to them as the house of Jacob? Because Jacob was a deceiver. That's exactly what Netanyahu and his coalition have become. And sadly enough, according to an interview on Piers Morgan, they were quoting 83% of Israelis favor ousting all Palestinians from Gaza. That's their native homeland. And you're going to throw them out. No wonder why God is sick of what Israel is doing. If you look at some of this here, and they covet fields and seize them and houses and take them away. Thus they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which you shall not remove your necks, neither shall you walk upright, for it shall be an evil time. They're definitely doing all that. And I've already shared with you multiple times about where God says, if you oppress the children, the fatherless, if you do violence in this place, I will hear their cries if they cry out unto me. Let's take a look at what's going on in Gaza from some of the doctors' perspectives here. This is Dr. Victoria Rose. She's a British doctor, plastic surgeon, and got a couple of clips here I want to play for you. This is one. She just returned from Gaza a day or two ago. Here's one of the statements she was making there when she was down in Gaza.
So it's Monday the 19th of May, and I'm just standing in theatre. We've just finished a case, and I'm not going to lie, I am quite down now. We've just operated on a 7-year-old who's had a blast injury that's taken a huge chunk out of the side of her left cheek, the back of her left shoulder and her left knee. And I've just been picking bits of shrapnel out of it and trying to get it as clean as we can. And then before her, I operated on her 5-year-old sister, who has got a devastating injury to her left arm. She's basically broken the humerus, which is the top bone in the arm. She's lost 90% of the skin on her arm, and she's lost the outer aspect of her left hand. And at the moment, I'm not sure that we're going to be able to save her arm. And then my colleagues next door, my orthopaedic colleagues next door, have been operating on their mother, who has taken a blast injury to both her shoulders and is missing bone and skin on both her shoulders. And they are not convinced that it's a survivable injury. So we're just waiting to find out how that's going to turn out. So yeah, not a great day for us here, I'm not going to lie. And to make matters worse, we've just found out that we are now on the edge of the active fighting zone, so we can expect the bombing to get much, much louder. And we have lost 4 members of the team who have had to go back to their homes with their tents, because they're in the active fighting area, and there's an evacuation order on them. So 4 of them have left us to go back and evacuate their families. So we're skeletal staff, and it really, really bad times right now.
This is just one of several that I want to share with you. And then yet again, we have United States unbelievably vetoing another ceasefire and vote at the UN. I'm kind of taken back too when they do their veto. It's almost like a Nazi salute. Uh, just kind of nuts, right? But you veto the ceasefire and the release of the humanitarian aid. Instead, though, uh, and then again, of course, you got Germany announcing that it will not recognize the state of Palestine and will continue to supply weapons to Israel. This is completely absurd. I mean, well, they say the CIA was started by German Nazis to begin with, so maybe that's what it is. It's just really a mess, right? Let's look at another doctor here as he shares about what's going on in Gaza. He's an international doctor there working in Gaza, trying to save lives, and he is there currently as we speak. Listen in.
In the short, we've only been here for a couple of days, and the amount of trauma that I've seen here is like nothing I've ever seen before. Today we had a mass casualty event, hundreds of injured, already dozens, if not hundreds, of confirmed casualties, deaths. The hospital is overwhelmed already. We're running out of ketamine, we're running out of dressings, we're running out of chest tubes. And the doctors, we've only been doing this for a few days. Doctors here have been doing this for the last 200 years. 200 days, pardon me. They're exhausted, the resources are overwhelmed. These are all civilian casualties that were asked to go to an aid center to collect food and ended up presenting with gunshot wounds, shrapnel wounds. Most of them are critical. Some of them arrived dead on arrival because of severe targeted gunshot wounds to the head and the thorax. I've never seen anything like this. I don't know what more there is to say. I just want to say these are civilians that were looking for food and they've been shot, and there's a lack of aid, there's a lack of food, there's a lack of supplies. Wherever you sit on the political spectrum, this is wrong. This is a humanitarian issue. This is not a political issue. These people need care, they deserve care, they deserve food, and they deserve aid. And that's my message to the world, Western world, Arab world, whatever the world is. If this situation can't continue, there's people dying that can't be saved. There's women, children, adults, all portions of the population are dying and they can't be saved. This is all preventable if aid was.
So agreed. So agreed. It is preventable. Stop Israel from killing these people. It's preventable. This nonsense that I continue to hear. Well, Israel has the right to defend itself. It's got to root out Hamas. And yet Netanyahu, the very man wanting to root out Hamas, you funded them billions of dollars. And now the leaked information is coming out that you were arming another group, an ISIS militant group inside of Gaza, to fight against Hamas. You have created such instability for these people to start with, and then you create your little false flag for October the 7th and allowed your own people to be massacred. And if it wasn't for the fact you stood down for 8 hours, maybe nobody would have ever known. But you could have stopped it. You could have stopped it. But you had to give them time to get in there and get the hostages out so you could create this false war. It's frustrating. It's more frustrating when I see so many Christians that still blindly support Israel. All because of a lie. Listen to what it has to say.
Iran has never attacked a neighbor. Israel has repeatedly attacked. Iran has never attacked a neighbor. Israel has repeatedly attacked its neighbors. Iran signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Israel has refused to sign. Iran submits to inspection by the International Nuclear Energy Agency. Israel refuses to submit. Iran has no nuclear weapons. Israel has between 75 and 400 nuclear weapons. So Israel poses an existential threat to Iran. For the last 40 years, Israel has conducted a systematic campaign of disinformation about Iran. Why the lies? Why the double standards? Why the hypocrisy? Iran has never...
I agree. Why the hypocrisy? That's exactly right. Why the hypocrisy? Again, Dr. She had just flew back in. She'd been in Gaza. Let's listen to a little bit of what she has to say here.
From London, UK, and I've just come back from working at Nasser Hospital in Gaza.
How would you describe what it is that Israel's doing in Gaza right now?
Well, I think it's doing two things. I mean, it's systematically bombing a population indiscriminately. The bombing doesn't stop. It's constant. Even when we were out of the red zone, it was constant. There's not a minute goes by where you don't hear some sort of attack in the background. But more than that, I think that the aid situation is a systematic starving of the population and strangling the healthcare system. And I don't think that the system that's come in, the GHF, is achieving anything other than forcing starving Palestinians to walk miles to a distribution centre and put their lives at risk. And it doesn't really matter who's shooting who at these distribution centres. The fact is that the Palestinians have been reduced to such a level of deprivation that they are prepared to put their lives at risk for food. And I just struggle to understand how we can watch that happen.
What did you see in Gaza this time that is different to other times?
I think the biggest difference this time compared to when we were last in, which was August, is the number of children we saw. And I was going through the figures, and in August we were there for a month, and I had 20 children on my inpatient list, which is children that we were reconstructing, so doing more than one surgery on. This time I was in Gaza for a less amount of time, and I had 34 children, so I was in for a week less and I saw more children. And it's the ages of them, they're tiny, they're all like 7 and 6. That was the average age of the children that I'm operating on. And the injuries were way more severe. They had bits of their arms and legs blown off, massive amounts of skin loss from faces. I mean, it was really appalling injuries. It is as if somebody has specifically blown them up and they were the target of that bomb. It was really horrific.
That's only part of her interview there. I'll put the link in the description below for you. We see these things even as things like BBC reporting having the sanctions placed on the ICC judges, which is such ridiculous, right? The International Criminal Court, who finds Netanyahu, based on the evidence that was presented to the ICC, liable, and a warrant for his arrest was placed because obviously evidence was overwhelming that war crimes are being committed. And now that Donald Trump is going to place sanctions on him because of that. And of course, Marco Rubio, his whole cabinet, they're just like thugs. You know, all cheerleaders for the genocide in Gaza. And now they're doubling down on their support. Oh, they're trying to pass laws for anti-Semitism and everything. They want to shut people up so that Israel can kill with impunity. Anyway, though, the United Nations Human Rights Chief has demanded the U.S. government withdraw sanctions it imposed on Thursday against 4 judges at the International Criminal Court. In a statement, Volker Turk said attacks against judges run directly counter to the respect for the rule of law and the equal protection of the law, values for which the U.S. has long stood. The U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced the sanctions on Thursday, for what he said was illegitimate targeting of Israel and the U.S. The sanctions are in response to the ICC issuing arrest warrants for the top Israeli officials, including Benjamin Netanyahu, and its investigation into alleged U.S. war crimes in Afghanistan. Turk said he was profoundly disturbed by the sanctions and called for their prompt reconsideration and withdrawal. Um, it just crazy what's going on, right? As we continue to see. Again, let's listen to what she has to
And put
say.
it behind you. And actually, now you've come back, you have to keep going because you're there to do a job and they're coming through the doors like a conveyor belt. So I was very focused on trying to get through as many cases as we could. And if you stop and think about what you're seeing and dwell on it too much, it slows you down, and you do lose that sort of work ethic, which we're there for a job, so you just have to keep going and try and put it behind you.
And actually, now you've come back, is it only now really that you're giving yourself time to process the enormity of what you
I find now that when I'm talking to people of what I've seen, it almost seems quite shocking to me, but it is really small children with massive injuries. They've had bits of their bodies blown off. It's shocking that you could see a child in that situation, and it's not just one. I was running an operating list with 10 people on it, and every day at least half of the list was under the age of 11. It's barbaric.
It is barbaric. It is very barbaric. And Israel claims that all these children that are shot or killed are because of a Hamas soldier. Every child. You've killed more children than you've killed Hamas soldiers. More than 70 residential buildings are bombed in Gaza. According to this report here, in the last 48 hours, 70 buildings destroyed in 48 hours. There must be evidently a ceasefire coming for Israel to be ramping up this much bombardment. And I can only imagine the number of casualties as a result of much bombardment. Let's listen to this document.
I can no longer just stand here and tell you what is happening on the ground. The emaciated bodies lying on the operating table, huge chunks of flesh missing, raw bone and muscle with putrefying infection. The child staring into space, asking for his parents, who will never return because they've been killed. You've heard it before, from all those that are here on the ground, witnessing what is happening. No, I want to talk to you about the political class that are complicit in this ongoing slaughter and starvation. They appear on the news shows, give interviews and try to justify what is happening. Sitting in their offices, safe and sound, well-fed and surrounded by all the luxuries of modern life. They have no idea how dangerous their words are. They have never been here. They have never seen with their own eyes what is going on. Heard the screams, smelt the rotting flesh, shuddered from the constant bombardment. Perhaps if they spent not 20 months, not even 1 month, but just one day here, they would have the courage and the humanity to speak the truth, to stand up, like so many of the citizens of the world, and use their power to bring this to an end, rather than be complicit in sustaining what is happening here.
I so agree with this man. The courage to stand up, to bring an end to what's happening there. Just an end, but to bring accountability as well as to what's happening there. Greta Thunberg is on the sailboat to Gaza once again, and the most disgusting comment that could have been made out of Lindsey Graham's mouth said he hopes she can swim when the last boat she was on was attacked by Israelis with a drone, and now she's again on another boat that is very much at risk of being attacked by Israelis. They've been harassed already. Another flotilla tried to take aid to the people of Gaza to break the blockade. We know this boat will be sunk or nearly sunk or whatever the case may be. So I'm sure people are willing to sacrifice their vessels, their lives, at trying to get food and aid to the people of Gaza and make a point here to try to bring the message to the world there. I want to just remind you as well, and when I said at the beginning, what is coming, uh, notice too what God said by his prophet Jeremiah: trust you not in lying words, saying, the temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord are these. You know, Israel's so big on reestablishing the state and the temple and all this that they're willing to just murder and kill anybody and everybody. Nay, but you thoroughly amend your way. No, nay, but if you thoroughly amend your ways and your doings, you thoroughly execute justice between man and his neighbor, if you oppress not the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, and shed not innocent blood in this place, neither walk after other gods to your hurt. Israel can't keep any of this. Not a single word of it. So what is coming? Well, what's coming is what Malachi wrote about. Chapter 4, verse 1, chapter 3, verse 19, if you're reading a Jewish Bible, for behold, the day cometh, it burns as a furnace, it shall, all the proud and all that work wickedness shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall set them ablaze, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. Think about that. Think about what you've done to these children and know what's coming. I'll close with Jeffrey Sachs and some more comments of what he made there when he was at the Antalya Diplomacy Forum.
A 2-year process, a 3-year process. The United States said no. Assad must go the first day of any agreement or we block it. And so Kofi Annan stepped down from his position after having negotiated a peace arrangement. And we have had 500,000 people dead since then. We should not allow this kind of criminality to be normal. This region has been at war nonstop for 30 years. Actually, I would say for at least 57 years since the Six-Day War, because there has been no honest accounting of international law, no honest diplomacy. It's been militarization all the way through. And we could have peace immediately in this region. All that is required, in my view, is the United States change its veto of Palestine as the 194th UN member state, because on that basis, all the region would normalize relations and the wars all across this region would stop. But Israel has had control over US policy, and it says no. It wants greater Israel. It wants Israel in Syria. It wants Israel in Lebanon. It wants Israel in the West Bank. It wants Israel in East Jerusalem. It wants Israel in Gaza. And until that stops, we're not going to have peace. So is the U.S. on the fence? Of course not. It's the major protagonist of this whole war and has been for the last 14 years. I am not discussing the agency of the Syrian people. I'm discussing the opposite. Do not be naive. Do not think that 600,000 people died because of Assad and the protesters. This was a war. Wars are expensive. They require billions of dollars. They require armaments. And I'm not talking about a conspiracy theory. I'm talking about a conspiracy. And you should know. Everybody go look up Operation Timber Sycamore. Understand what happened in your region. And if you think that calling in the CIA is going to do the bidding of agency in this region, you are sadly mistaken.
There's so much more that's been said in that. But there is going to be a day of reckoning. And this, and I see where we read biblically, Satan is like a ravening lion seeking whom he may devour. That's exactly right. He has but a little time, and that's what Israel sees. She has a little time, and she's trying to devour as many nations as she possibly can. She wants to reset up that kingdom that she had before she crucified Christ. Stephen Bannon with Israeli News Live, IsraeliNewsLive.org. Please support the broadcast. Your support is needed very much. Good day.